This is the config settings screen on the Criterion NDT ST-11 and ST-11R units. Today I'm going to show you all about this screen and all the features. First, let's look at the frequency list. This is the list of frequencies that get applied to the coil, and at that voltage, and for this amount of time. As you can tell, the lower frequencies use a much longer period of time, the higher ones are much shorter, and this is why. On page 24 of the user manual, you can see how the frequencies look when they're applied to the coils. The lower frequencies take longer to process than the higher ones do, because that's how long it takes to get the magnetic field into the material and get the right result. This is also where you can look for all your timings. Something else to mention while I'm on this screen is the result delay. The result delay is 2 full frequency sweeps plus 2 milliseconds for processing time. That's so we make sure we get an entire full frequency sweep for each sample. Here's that minimum result delay number. That is just all the times added together times 2 plus 2 milliseconds, and that's where you get this number from. The 2 buttons over here on the right, the auto range buttons, allow you to adjust the range of the frequencies, and it auto scales all the rest of the frequencies to fall within that range. The maximum works the same way, just on the other end. The adjust all drives buttons lets you do just that, adjust all the drive voltages at the same time. You can also individually adjust the drive voltages or the frequencies without adjusting any of the other ones. The number of frequencies over here just allows you to adjust how many frequencies you're actually testing with. There are 3 test enable types to choose from: external, internal static, and internal dynamic. External can be triggered from the remote control through Ethernet or through industrial I/O, or from the test enable button on the test review screen. Internal static can be triggered by the button on the test review screen or by the presence of the part in the coil. Internal dynamic is similar to internal static, but in dynamic mode it is the part passing the coil or going through the coil that triggers the test. It keeps track of the eddy current signal that is farthest from the air point from the time the signal leaves the air point to the time it returns, and that farthest point is the result for this type of test enable. The test trigger threshold is an active part of the internal static and internal dynamic test modes. It's still used with external static, but only for the temperature compensation feature. This is a snippet from page 8 of the user manual that explains basically how it works. You can see here that from the center of the air point to the center of the balance point is 100%, and the test trigger threshold is just a percentage of that. Next up is test delay. It's not applicable in internal dynamic test because of the type of test that is. If you've got a part that's flying past your coil and you're trying to test it, you don't want a test delay to happen. In external or internal static, it is important. Internal static, for instance, if you are dropping a part into a coil and the coil is sitting on a bench and it bounces, you want to make sure that you get all that bounce out. So that's what the test delay is for. Once the coil has sensed the part's presence, it waits this amount of time to activate the test. That number is variable between 0 and almost 10 seconds. Result delay is the amount of time between the end of the test delay and the beginning of the test result. Its minimum is the minimum result delay, which is computed by the amount of time it takes to do the frequency sweeps, times 2 plus 2 milliseconds, and the maximum is that amount of time plus 9,999 milliseconds, 10 seconds. Test result duration is the amount of time the test result information will be available on the I/O pins after the result delay has expired. This has a range of 10 milliseconds to nearly 10 seconds. Total rejects alarm keeps track of how many times the test has failed since the test data was last cleared. It can go all the way up to 1,000. Consecutive rejects alarm keeps track of how many parts have failed consecutively. Its range goes all the way up to 1,000, just like the total rejects alarm, and it keeps track of consecutive rejects. Anytime a part passes, this counter is reset, starts counting again. Last but not least, the temperature compensation feature. On this screen, it just has an on-off switch, and when it's on, this feature keeps tugging the data back to the center of the air point to compensate for any kind of small temperature drifts. There's a full description on page 38 of the user manual if you're interested in more details. That's it for the config settings screen. Thank you for watching the video. Please like the video, subscribe to our channel to see some more of our stuff. I hope you enjoy our equipment and have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.